Pod pals in Kubernetes are like small teams of superheroes, and each team pod works together to perform specific tasks for your applications. They share the same resources and are designed to collaborate closely. Welcome to Women in Cloud Native, where we drop gems for those in tech, those interested in getting into tech, and everyone in between. Don't forget to subscribe and join us next week when we drop new content. Let's explore what pod pals do. 1. Grouping containers. Pod pals are used to group one or more containers that need to work together. These containers are tightly coupled and share the same network and storage. Imagine a superhero team in a pod that consists of a web server container and a database container. They work together to serve a web application. These containers are part of the same pod because they need to communicate closely. 2. Collaboration. Pod pals enable containers to collaborate efficiently. Containers within the same pod can communicate with each other using local network calls, which is much faster than going over the network. In a pod, you might have one container responsible for generating data and another container that processes and stores that data. They can share information directly without going through external services. 3. Shared resources. Containers in the same pod share resources, such as CPU and memory. This allows them to coordinate and utilize resources effectively. Suppose you have a superhero team in a pod where one superhero container handles image processing and another superhero container handles video streaming. They share CPU and memory resources as needed to ensure both tasks are completed efficiently. 4. Single deployment unit. Pods serve as the smallest deployable units in Kubernetes. When you deploy a pod, you're deploying all the containers within it together. If you're running a dating website, you might have a pod that includes a container for the web server, a container for the dating database, and another container for caching. When you deploy this pod, all these containers are deployed as a single unit. 5. Shared storage. Containers within a pod can share the same storage volumes, making it easy for them to access and modify shared data. Consider a superhero team in a pod that manages user-uploaded files for a cloud storage service. All the superheroes in the team can access the same storage volume to read and write user files. 6. Use cases. Pod pals are commonly used for scenarios where containers need to work together closely, such as microservices architectures where multiple containers collaborate to deliver a single service. In a microservices-based e-commerce application, you might have one pod for the product catalog service, another pod for the shopping cart service, and so on. Each pod represents a separate microservice, and the containers within the pod collaborate to provide the service's functionality. 7. Lifecycle management. The containers within a pod have the same life cycle. When a pod is created, all the containers start together, and when a pod is deleted, all the containers are terminated. If you have a superhero team in a pod, all the superheroes in the team are born or started at the same time when the pod is deployed, and they retire or stop together when the pod is deleted. Pod pals in Kubernetes are like superhero teams that allow containers to collaborate closely, share resources, and work together efficiently. They are a fundamental building block for deploying and managing containerized applications, ensuring that containers with related functionality can coordinate seamlessly within the same team. Pod. Thanks for joining us at Women in Cloud Native. Don't forget to subscribe and join us next week when we drop more gems.